All right, y'all, let's take a final look at our main event that's going down tonight. By the time I upload this in the morning, it will be tonight. So, yeah, it's going down, y'all. The Bullet Valentina Shevchenko taking on Manon the Beast Fiorot. The best fighting the best, y'all. Let's get it in, man. It is going down. Let's take a look at Manon Fiorot first, all right? 7-0 in the UFC, one of the bigger, stronger flyweights. Been about a year and some change since her last fight, but I think she's ready to go, man. You know, she's been training nonstop leading up to this point, and this is what she's been wanting. She's got her title shot, y'all, and it's going down. I think she really wants to make a big statement. So first off, for Manon Fiorot, looking at what she needs to do against the Bullet, number one, she needs to really make Val uncomfortable. Take her out of her rhythm. That's the only way you're going to beat a complete fighter like Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina's so used to being in control and dominating these girls and making her fight at her own pace. You got to disrupt that rhythm. And I'm talking about the footwork, the timing, the strikes upstairs. I need to see more pressure from Manon in this fight. You know, keeping her hands up and fighting behind that long right jab. You know, she's got to extend that jab out and in every combination with the right hook. So one thing I'll say is she needs to throw that right hook off the jab, as well as throw a good 1-2-3 and make sure, you know, she can at least get 2 shots off. Now, you might get hit by Valentina. Valentina is quick. You know, Valentina is going to be the quicker fighter, but expect that. You know, you got to sacrifice that. So I think Manon is going to have to keep Valentina off her back foot so those shots don't generate a lot of power and she can still get her volume in and win these exchanges. Then eventually get into some cage wrestling. And when she gets to the fight to the cage, you need to see her, you know, really start to try to sap Valentina's energy, you know, working some good body shots, you know, some knees, elbows, just making an all-around ugly fight on Valentina, because that's the only way I can see Manon winning this fight, if she fights kind of like Ankalaev did against Pieta, where, you know, you start to really throw a lot of volume against the better striker. You know what I mean? Like Ankalaev, he started throwing more. You know, he started throwing more. So, you know, Manon needs to throw more and then just outstrength Valentina against the cage. Don't take the fight to the ground, but just start really making it brutal against the cage, which leads me to technical brutality. That's the third thing she needs to do, which by that I mean, like, look at Wei Li. When Wei Li gets you to the cage and she's looking for those takedowns, all the while, if you don't go completely down, what is she doing? She's still beating you up with the free hand, like she did Lemos and Suarez, right? She's got one underhook and she's landing big shots. You know, she's still landing some hard shots. So, you know, Manon needs to be ugly in this fight. You know, she has to get ugly. Grasso did. You know, Grasso was boxing, but in the second fight, you know, whenever she got in on Valentina, she wasn't scared to clinch with her. Even though she got taken down multiple times, when they would get in the clinch, Valentina was getting hit by some knees. You know, there was one point where Valentina was saying she was grounded, but hey, Grasso didn't care. She hit her with a knee, got her to the cage, kind of had Valentina spunt a little bit in the second fight, you know. So you got to get in her head a little bit by, you know, not being afraid to get ugly and bite back, you know. So those are the 3 things I think Manon needs to do. Not make it like a sharp technical fight, like I'm the better striker. No, go in there, make it ugly, take her out of her rhythm. For Valentina, though, a lot of people say Valentina is out of her prime or she's lost a step. I disagree. Valentina, to me, is sharp as ever. And I think the one thing about her is, you know, her mind is really sharp. Her heart is still in it. You know, the fight game isn't just a career or about being a superstar or money. It's a lifestyle. And whenever it's a lifestyle, they're the most dangerous fighters to fight. So Manon has to be careful with that. Valentina lives this lifestyle. She's competitive out of the cage. She loves to shoot. She loves guns and knives. This girl likes to hunt and stalk. So Valentina has not lost a step. If she has, she masks it well, y'all. She masks it well with her overall just her mental game and just her overall dedication in her training, all right? So going into this fight for Valentina Shevchenko, it's almost like a thing where she could just pick certain things that she, you know, that she's used to doing because she's so polished. You know, she could go in here and, you know, just keep that mid-range and outside range and fight there and could win some rounds comfortably. But if I had to pick, I think the one thing that Valentina have to do is focus on the body here. You know, Manon Fiorot is ripped, but something about body shots on taller fighters just work, you know. So Valentina throwing a lot of body kicks off the calf kicks would be effective, you know, to slow her down, keep her from coming on the inside, till eventually that could lead to the head kick setup, right? Goes into the next thing, you know, look for the head here, because, you know, if Manon is being a little overconfident and does the pullback, Valentina could get off a good head kick. I'm not even talking about like a spinning kick, any of the fancy stuff, just throwing a straight head kick off of her jab or her calf kicks, So those two things right there are effective. The third I'll say that could open up the bigger shots for Valentina is her jab. When Valentina throws her jab is solid. She's been stingy with the jab in the past, but that Grasso fight, both Grasso fights, the first two Grasso fights, she was working that jab overtime. And I was loving the jab. It was very effective. So I think her jab could be very effective against Manon Fiorot. It could open up so many takedowns, level changes here, so many different things that Valentina could do, just off of this jab, So I think she needs to really kind of take it just back to basics, jabbing and maybe even some, slick takedowns and just trying to out-wrestle Manon on the ground. But, yeah, I think that Manon, her main thing will have to be on the feet as far as, like, her wrestling, cage wrestling that way. So how I see this fight going, man, I see it being really competitive. If anything, truth be told, if anybody wins a dominant fight here, I think it would be Valentina Shevchenko, because I think Valentina, she's awake for this fight. She's not underestimating her opponent like she did Grasso in the first fight. Since then, she's just really been on her game. The second fight, I don't think she liked how that went, definitely. The third fight, she was just open and shut. And I think that there could be something up her sleeve just like that, where she just opens and shuts it again, because she's been around that long and she's smart like that. Manon Fiorot, on the other hand, I think she has the tools. She has the tools to take Valentina out of her rhythm. She could pull some tools that Alexa Grasso has with her hands, but she's also big like Tyler Santos. So she needs to take her pick in this fight. Which one do you want to really utilize here that you could build off of and make better? You're bigger and stronger than Tyler. You could take her down or get her to the cage and just beat her, with some good, effective inside dirty shots. Or you could try your best to put Valentina on the back foot, clinch her at times, dirty boxer, and just do that type of work until you can either stop her or at least earn a good solid 3 rounds or 4 rounds. So with that, I think that Manon has been seeing a little bit of everything that these other fighters have been doing. But also with Valentina being turned on, it's going to be a highly competitive fight. So with that being said, y'all, who is my pick in this one? Well, this will be the very first time that I've picked against Valentina Shevchenko since the second Amanda Nunes fight. I'm going to go with Manon Fiorot. I'm going to go with Manon Fiorot by a close decision in this one, y'all. Now, I really wouldn't be surprised if it was to go the other way, of course. If anything, truth be told, I think that Valentina Shevchenko definitely has what it takes to dominate. We've seen her do it before. But if Manon Fiorot has it in her to pull some of these tools out of her belt, some of the things in the past that Tyler Santos has done, which she could, or Alexa Grasso, which she could, if she pulls a little bit of those things out and disrupts Valentina's rhythm, I think she could win a decision. I think she would have to really fight tooth and nail to get to that decision. It'd be wise for her to make it a dirty fight. And overall, I think that's what she's going to try her best to do in there. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe. You got the bullet or the beast. It's going down tomorrow, y'all. Or tonight, I mean. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Peace.